Hello guys! Today I would like to present to you the current Nekroz build that I am playing. And before this video starts, I'll give you the warning. This is obscenely expensive. Do not do not buy it if you don't have the money for this. Rather stick to playing this online. Otherwise, I think this version is probably the most optimized Nekroz build that I could think of. If there is anything extra, maybe I come up with something in a week or two. But anyways, let's get into the deck profile. So Nekroz recently got a lot of cool stuff that we can play around with, and these cool things actually helped the deck in building boards and building up card advantage, which is really great. So first of all, for the Nekroz ratio, triple Unicorn, triple Brunak, two Klausless, and that's it because we cut Trishula. And if you ask about why I personally cut Trishula here, it is because Trishula, at least in testing, has not been resolving for me. Like either it gets negated, it gets Lanciated, or your opponent has not enough cards in hand or graveyard to resolve it, which means that like Trishula is mostly like a brick draw that you have to play 2 bricks for just to be able to play. Like at least 2 bricks. If you want to play Shirt, you're playing 3. So this is all you need for the Nekroz stuff, because Breenok is really great in this deck. Unicorn is our way to beat Dark Ruler no more, and Klausless is just the spell searcher. So generally, this seems good. You could play Klausless at 1 if you want to cut a card, but I play it at 2 because I am used to it. I think it feels the best from grind game potential. Otherwise, yeah, this is for the Nekroz ratios. Then we are not done with the ritual monsters because we add one more. Our first Dogmatika monster in this deck, White Knight of Dogmatika. So if you wonder what this card does here, this card is a 500 attack, 2500 level 8 light ritual monster, spellcaster, and first of all, its downside is if you control it, you cannot summon from the extra deck. So keep that in mind, which is also a good thing because if your opponent Triple Tactics talents this, then he's locking himself out of the extra deck. So keep that in mind. It's a pretty... it can happen if your opponent is an idiot, so keep that in mind. But its actual main use, first of all, except for the stats and name, are its effect. And its effect is if your opponent activates a spell, a trap, or an effect of a spell, trap, or monster, on resolution, if the effect resolved, that means if the activation goes through, does not mean that the effect has to go through. So if you control your Nekroz of Unicorn, your opponent is activating an extra deck monster effect, you can on resolution still activate him because the monster resolved, but the effect resolves negated. So then you get to send an extra deck monster from your extra deck to the graveyard, and then look at your opponent's extra deck and choose one monster that you want gone and send it there. And then he boosts himself to the end of the turn by half of the combined attack of both monsters that were sent, which means you can send Intus, you can send Heralds, you can send Titaniclad for this, you can send Omega. You could technically also send Apkalum, but spoilers, I'm not playing that card because I have bad experiences with it. So he's pretty good, and his 500 attack are actually going to come up, which is really important. Now for our Dogmatika monsters, 2 Dogmatika Ecclesia, which is our main searcher for the Dogmatikas. We don't need to play 3. You could play 3, but I prefer to play 2. 1 Dogmatika Maximus, which is mainly our follow-up play right now. And 1 Dogmatika Fleur-de-Lis, the Knightened, which is really good together with White Knight of Dogmatika, not because you control an extra deck monster when you summon him, which is not the case usually, But if you summon White Knight of Dogmatika, you'll be able to search this due to the ritual spell that I will be coming to soon. All in all, I pretty much like this ratio. I would not change anything about it. Then we go to the actual second new card in the deck, Diviner of the Herald. So let me explain this card in Nekroz context. First of all, this is a 500 attack Manju, which is and 300 defense. But instead of Manju, it's actually Geodogra, and it increases its level to level 6 if you send a Herald of the Arclight, or to whatever its level plus the level of the monster you sent. So you can make this a level 4, you can make this a level 6 in this deck. Generally pretty nice. And its second effect is if it is tributed, you get to special summon from your deck Fairy level 2 or lower monster, which we are going to use in this deck because Drytron cannot use the second effect because there is no valid target, but you in Nekroz actually can, and you will in this card's combo. And I'll get to the combo at the end of the video. But another part of the combo is, of course, the target, which is Cyber Egg Angel, which on summon searches your Ritual Sanctuary. Also, it's level 2 and an Almirage target. Then, for the best hand trap in the deck, Triple Gamma, and the best Kaleido 6 target, Siphon Gear Gamma driver. So this card is basically your main insurance against Droll and Lockbird. This entire deck is built to beat opponents that spam hand traps, and this card is your main way. So a lot of people do not respect the fact that you can Gamma Droll for no reason whatsoever, specifically if they see ritual monsters, because they expect like an orange light or whatever. So they will be probably like doing a Droll directly on your Nekroz of Brionac. And if they don't Droll that Nekroz of Brionac, you get your Unicorn usually guaranteed. And so you will usually sequence everything so that you get to resolve this card if your opponent hand traps anything. And it feels so good to Gamma a Droll. Then this is the 42nd card of the deck because we're running 42. You can cut this, but I wanted to play 7 going second cards for combo, and Pankratops is my 7th. So he's generally, it's Pankratops, he's good. He is a machine. He's a game plan all in itself. Now for the spell cards. We know Nadir's Servant, but Nadir's Servant just got better because I mentioned that the White Knight of Dogmatika is is a 500 attack monster. This has 600 attack, so we can finally send Herald of the Arclight off of Nadir, which means that we get a 1-card ritual summon out of Nadir's, which is awesome. So we're not dependent on like your opponent, like on subpar ascends, and it's generally really good. It's the god spell of the deck. You really want to open this every time. And also we are playing triple prep because this recycles your ritual spells and it gets you to Brionac. The only ritual monster it cannot search is sadly the White Knight. And then because we want to get to our good cards, we're playing triple Pot of Prosperity. Generally, you usually banish only 3 unless you play against Drytron. If you play against Drytron or some kind of back row deck, you banish 6 and go for the quick setup and like turbo into whatever card you really want for that matchup. Otherwise, just banish 3 and you should be okay versus decks like Tri-Brigade. Then for my cards that I replaced Dark Ruler with, Triple Tactics Talents. This is a spell card, which is pretty important. Then also, this card punishes hand traps, so it's a good going first card. And it's a good going second card because it punishes boards that are made of monsters. And also hand traps. So you can take stuff like an Appaloosa that dared to negate anything, which is great. This card is really good against the Tri-Brigade board, and generally I like this. And if your opponent duels you, you're just going to hand loop them. So we really want to punish your opponent for playing hand traps rather than playing through the hand traps. Though we also want to play through the hand traps. Then one Ritual Sanctuary. This is something we search, but it's also not a bad draw because if you discard any spell for this, and this is why triple tactics talents is good to be a spell, you can search yourself any ritual spell or light ritual monster. So basically you can search the White Knight of Dogmatika with this. And its second effect is really relevant in the combo, which is you can shuffle any amount of spells from your graveyard into the deck. So it gives you recursion to special summon a fairy monster, a light fairy from your graveyard to your field, which means you can special summon stuff like Diviner of the Heralds with this card by shuffling back 2 spells. And getting 2 spells into the grave is pretty easy. Then we're also running, of course, some ritual spells. For our Nekroz ritual spells, we're running 2 Nekroz Kaleidoscope and 1 Cycle. We cut Nekroz Mirror because Trishula requires Mirror to be played, but none of the other Nekroz monsters. You don't really want to banish your Nekroz monsters, which you really have to pay attention to. And if you get to resolve the Diviner combo, you anyways turn any spell into the ritual spell you really want, which is great. And for our last ritual spell, we're also playing Dogmatic Calamity, which is a kaleidoscope for the Dogmatika ritual. This also locks you out of the extra deck as soon as you use it, but it doesn't matter because you're summoning a monster that says you cannot summon from the extra deck anyways. But generally, this card is what you search off of Herald if you don't have any extender, if you send Herald off of Nadir, but you usually have an extender. And then for our random one-offs, we're also playing one called by it because this card is disgusting. And 41st card, Cosmic Cyclone. A lot of decks have been running Mystic Mine lately, so I want to be prepared in the main deck already for this. So one Cosmic Cyclone is generally good. Also, this card is pretty decent back row removal. And then for our last card, Dogmatika Punishment. This is our 40th card. And this generally good option if you get a really Dogmatika heavy hand, and it's also not a bad draw. So this covers the main deck. For the extra deck, the most obvious stuff: triple Herald, triple Intus, 1 Skull Knight, and 1 Titanic Clad the Ashen Dragon. This is relevant because this is level 8, and because it's level 8, you can use it as the Dogmatic Calamity target for White Knight of Dogmatika, which then means that you get to search something like a Fleur de Lis to get an additional interruption if your opponent ever dares to summon from extra deck, which is pretty decent. And also this gets you follow-up. So those are like the main send targets from the extra deck. But also we, of course, have to run 1 Psyframe Lord Omega. This is really stupid with Gamma, of course, because you get to hand loop your opponent for Gamma. Then we get to play... This card is interesting. This is for the end board. I don't have a good target to go into with this yet. But as soon as the next Legendary Duelist release, we get Baroness de Fleur. And we're going to use this to get into Baroness de Fleur. And otherwise, you can summon this off of our next card, which is Hauke Fibrax, on your opponent's turn to hand loop them. Sadly, they get to choose what gets sent, but but you can go into it, and it's pretty decent. And I will get to the combo in a second. 1 Ferigit. You can cut this for Lina, you can cut this for Baroness de Fleur as soon as she's out, or if you're playing OCG. And then 1 Celine, Queen of Master Magicians, which is actually a card that can resummon the White Knight of Dogmatika if it has been properly summoned. So keep that in mind. This is a way how to get your to your Dogmatika stuff in graveyard if you don't have like any follow up for it. One Almirage in case we eat a hand trap but still have Dogmatika Ecclesia, and one Totally Awesome for our 15th extra deck card. Totally Awesome is good for recycling your graveyard. Then for our side deck, triple Evenly Matched, back row Hate, triple Dark Ruler from the main deck back into the side deck. I don't think Dark Ruler is the greatest this format in the main deck because Drytron still ends on 2 negates through it. If you can play Droplets and then put the Droplets main and Tactics side. But this card is really good against Tri-Brigade. This is good against Zodiac. This is good against Prank Kids. And this can be good against Dragon Link if they don't play Halka Fibrax. So depending on build, this is good. Just pay attention to what they combo with. If you see a Halka Fibrax, you don't side this in. Then we also play triple Drone Lockbird. Sorry, only 2 ultis. I could only get 2. Because my friend only had 8 only. And he couldn't trade the first 6 because he didn't want to break the playsets. And then Cycle Reader. Our worst matchup in this format by far is Drytron. And you cannot really beat Drytron just by Dark Rulering them. You have to stop them from existing. You can't let them play. Because if they play, they have the follow-up. And Cycle Reader is really good against the follow-up. And it also like stops their turn. So keep that in mind. This is pretty much the entire deck. So let's get to the combo. And the combo has a way to extend it, which lets you beat Dark Ruler no more and Droplets. So let's get to it. So we need 1 spell card, or you can activate Pot of Prosperity technically. And we need 1 Diviner of the Herald. So this is full combo for like the main end board that you want to end on with just Diviner. You can extend it because you get a free search in this combo. But if you also activate Prosperity and Prosperity excavates the Diviner, this combo also works, but you don't get the search. But then it becomes a true 1-card combo. So then, let's get going. So first of all, we normal summon Diviner. Our Diviner is going to activate its effect to send a Herald of the Arclight from extra deck to graveyard. And then we get to search ourselves a Nekroz of Breenak, which gets to search a Nekroz of Kalausalas, which then gets to search us a Nekroz Cycle. And now that Diviner of the Herald is level 6, we get to activate Nekroz Cycle, tributing the Diviner of the Herald for our Nekroz of Breenak, and then we activate the effect of our Diviner to special summon from our deck a Cyber Egg Angel. And Cyber Egg Angel now activates its effect to search ourselves Ritual Sanctuary, which we promptly activate. And we have 1 spell engraved for now. So now we're going to use Ritual Sanctuary effect, discarding the triple Tactics talents. And then we get ourselves a search for for whatever we want right now. So probably a Kaleidoscope because of how we can extend. And then we're going to use the second effect of Ritual Sanctuary to shuffle back 2 spells to special summon back our Diviner of the Herald. Now we have 2 options. We could either play into Nibiru or not play into Nibiru. So let's play into Nibiru. If you don't want to play into Nibiru, you can Synchro Summon right here, right now for a Herald of the Arclight. And this is your 5th summon. So you can negate Nibiru, and then you could extend, for example, with your Dogmatika plays. Alternatively, you keep the Egg Angel on the field, and then Synchro Summon for your Halka Fibrax. You activate the effect of Halka Fibrax to special summon from your deck a combo piece, Psyframe Gear Gamma. So we reduce one of our bad top decks, and then we get to synchro summon for, yeah, you guessed it, Heralds. And this is the main one card end board, because on our opponent's turn we can tag this out to hand loop them for a little bit due to this card. You could alternatively also play this card and Formula Synchron, then first draw a card, and then if you extend the combo, which we can extend in this case if we drew Unicorn, by, so let's restore the board. And now we Kaleidoscope for Unicorn and get ourselves our third Herald engrave. So keep that in mind. And then the Herald activates its effect to search us another Nekroz of Brionac. So we got follow-ups, because if Herald goes to graveyard, you get the search. And also, this board is really interesting because this is actually Dark Ruler resistant due to our Nekroz of Unicorn. So if you're not aware, I already made clear on this channel that this is an interaction that you have to know as an Nekroz player. Extra deck monsters that are negated cannot be, like if you negate your extra deck monsters with Unicorn, they cannot be negated by Dark Ruler no more. So if you, for example, face your opponent and then he goes Herder, Dark Ruler no more, the only card that will be negated is the Unicorn. And now because Unicorn is negated, these two cards are no longer negated. And whatever you summon from extra deck. So he trades with this Dark Ruler no more, this extra deck Floodgate, for the Macrocosmos effective Herald of the Arclight. And in addition, you also have the Halka-Fibrax live, which then means on resolution, you can activate the Halka-Fibrax effect, and then you can go into your Desert Locust, hand loop for one, the card is banished if he discards a monster, and then you, in addition, have the option, if you play her, to synchro summon for 10 for a Desert Locust, with your Desert Locust and your Unicorn, into a Baroness de Fleur, or into a Ready Rose Dragon, which, like, Ready Rose Dragon I would not recommend, but if you really want Graveyard Disruption, like, if your opponent has, like, 4 Drytrons in grave, then go ahead, do it. But here you can use this to go into Ready Rose Dragon, banish the entire graveyard, and then also you can use this instead to go into Baroness de Fleur, which is another negate. So you end on, if he Dark Rulers you, he hand loops himself for 2, and you get 2 negates. So you're pretty much winning if he Dark Rulers you. All in all, this covers the deck. Another really important thing that you have to think about when playing this deck is to abuse Psyframe Lord Omega as much as possible due to how quickly, as you see, you go through your Herald of the Arclights. So if you ever go through this combo and get your chance to summon your White Knight of Dogmatika with help of his ritual spell, you should strongly consider to send yourself an Omega and then shuffle back a Herald so that you have more grind game. So keep that in mind when playing this deck. You don't want to be too greedy. You want to make sure that you send Omegas before you send your other stuff, just so that you have more options on your next turn. This deck requires a lot of foresight when playing, and all in all, it's a really, really nice deck. I think it's the best Nekroz deck I've built so far, and otherwise, I wish you a good day, and see ya!